Welcome, everybody, to another podcast of the Southern African Institute of Government Auditors. And this time around, we're celebrating 5 years of leadership at SAIGA, as well as SAIGA itself celebrating 36 years of organizational excellence. And I'm joined by the CEO of SAIGA, Mr. Russel Morena. Welcome, Russel. Pleasure to be with you once again.
Thank you.
And the SAIGA President, Phillip Rakgwale. Once again, pleasure to be with you.
Thank you.
Right. The organization has been, before we talk about your role in this organization, let's talk about the Southern African Institute of Government Auditors. It's been around for quite a while, right? It's 36 years. It looks like it's even older than yourselves, I suspect. But just tell me how the organization came into being.
No, thank you, Tim, for the interview. So the organization is older than 36 years, if I might just put it that way. The organization came as a being of coming from the Auditor General back then, before it's even called the Auditor General. So it was formed by a few executives back then, around the 1980s, to try and professionalize the audit office. And obviously it went to a formal structure in 1988. Fast forward, if I want to fast forward all that would happen in between. So it happened in 1998 and 88, and also it moved to when the former homelands came in, after democracy of 1990 and 1994, as we know it. Then it was then to bring the former homelands in the Auditor General. As we obviously know the history of the country. But part of it was then to say, how then do we professionalize these individuals from former homelands? Obviously, most of them didn't have the adequate qualifications, if I might say so. So SAIGA became a vehicle to professionalize that, to be able to recognize their experience, take them through adequate training, and making sure that they are becoming RGA. So that's where the registered government auditor comes from. It came from because you have an institution called Auditor General, obviously by the mere fact that they are government auditors, then you have registered government auditors with the SAIGA. So it was run by the executive of Auditor General back then, and some professors from University of Pretoria, for example, and some few professors that I can name. So it went on for a very long time. They didn't have a training scheme at that time. The training scheme came very late. I was one of the second batch of the training scheme back in 2006 when I came in. Some came year before that. One of our chairpersons of Gauteng was the first batch of the RGA training scheme. So we had to go to an exam that we had to write, and be able to an RGA. But just going back a little bit, those who were recognized from being of their experience back then, they were recognized based on, there was a scheme called grandfathering. So they recognize your experience and they give you the title of registered government auditors. But us, when we came in, it was then to say, okay, we have a new training scheme, then you have to have a formal qualification up to honors level to be able to go and write the RGQE. So that's how then the training scheme of RGA has happened. And primarily has been in the Auditor General since then, and Auditor General being the ones that house our trainee scheme, and for a long time. And obviously there was leadership change for a while. Certain challenges that we face as an organization, until to a point that Auditor General said, let's pause and go and reflect so that at least you can institutionalize and make sure that some of the governance processes are turned around and modernize the organization from where it was, being born in the Auditor General and also being an institution on its own. One of the things is that since from there, I think when one took over 2019, we realized that we that child that was born at home, bred and buttered at home, but we never left home. So we were in the Auditor General, dependent on the Auditor General, until Auditor General says, no, it's time that you go and become independent, and get away from home.
What I want to establish before we talk about the past 5 years now with both of you at the helm of this organization, the registered government auditors, right? It makes you seem different and unique from other auditors. If you can just briefly tell me a little bit more what the key differentiator is.
No, thank you. Thank you for that. I think also, before I come there, I just want to add, I think in terms of this word used, grandfathering. So maybe someone is thinking that you're talking about someone's grandfather. So in today's language and legislation, we talk about RPLs. It's in fact RPL. So those groups, they were then RPL'd, if we may use the term, looking at their past experience and other qualifications to say, based on your past experience and qualification, you meet the criteria to become an RGA. So that's what that. So I think just to add as well, in addition, I think maybe in terms of the history, so maybe some people are asking themselves why it's not South African, it's Southern, because the idea there as well was to ensure that we have an organization that is going to assist the entire Southern African region. So hence that, yes, yeah. Then coming to the RGA, this is a special professional designation, to be honest, because it is the highest in the public sector space. It's the highest professional designation in the public sector space, because as an RGA, you have that specialization of the public sector. We have many professionals who are in finance or who are auditors. It can be internal auditor, external auditor. But when it comes to you as an external auditor or as an RGA in the public space or sector, you have a specialization. You understand the government, the public sector legislation process, and so on. So even the standards that are being utilized are different. It's not like a private company or sector and so on. So that is what makes someone who's an RGA. Like I always love with Mr. Phillip here that I started to call him RJ Rakgwale. so I want to use RJ first. So RJ Rakgwale because they are specialized professionals in the public sector.
So, but just maybe to close this part of the conversation, how significant is this? I mean, SAIGA itself, including its members, right, in the broader profession of auditing and accounting, you are definitely significant somehow in the industry as much as you are in the public sector.
Yes, if I can take this one, I think we're very significant because, like he mentioned, we are the only institution in the country that specializes in public sector auditing and accounting, and we've got the highest designation. In terms of us being able to professionalize public sector per se, we are the only viable vehicle to be able to do that, because we've specialized at this with public sector since your 80s, like we mentioned in the history. And we have the genesis of how everything revolved in the public sector finance, pre your PFMA and MFMA, pre the advent of what we have now in terms of accounting standard. So viably, we are the only institution, and our members are viably, they are the ones who can actually change around the finances of public sector, if one might say so. So the dire picture of public audit outcomes and the results that we see can only be turned by us, because we really specialize in the field.
Sure.
Hence, the others have been wanting to partner with us, precisely because we they have seen the value that we bring forward to the market.
Let's come to the leadership issues now with yourselves at the helm this past 5 years. Any particular achievements that stand out for you that you want to take the glory for? Because we are going to definitely be slammed for other issues down the line. But let's talk about the achievements that you are proud of.
Okay, I think for me, I think we're not there yet. We're not where we want to be. But one thing that we have made that is significant is the repositioning of this organization. We were able to turn this organization around to be repositioned out there in the market for what it is today. I think from my side as the CEO, because I implement what comes from the council and from vision of the council and the president. So I think 2019, when there was a change in the leadership, one thing that we were talking about, it was about that we need to reposition SAIGA. We need to have a different vision that is going to bring a different impact in society. And then from my side and the team, we then worked on that to say, okay, what is it that the council in fact wants? Then to unpack it, understand the vision that SAIGA should in fact be an organization whereby, as like a public sector, when they have an issue, finance and financing, audit and so on related matters, they will think of SAIGA, because that is in general the what SAIGA is about. So the program that we have, that we have to train our professionals, even our professionals, it focuses in there to bring in solutions as well, because they understand the finance space, the actual challenges. Therefore, then SAIGA should be regarded as a public sector capacity development partner. Because of this. So that's the vision that we took from there. So hence I'm saying that we're not there, but we're heading there. But to be, if we were to highlight, was the new vision that came with the new leadership.
Sure.
Yeah.
And you mentioned something about challenges, though. I mean, it's never an easy walk in the park when you take leadership, right? How did you overcome any challenges that you came across? Firstly, by mentioning what those are.
Okay, right. If I can add to where he started as well. I don't know how many minutes if you said challenges and achievements and go on and on.
Well, we want to talk more about how you've been able to resolve them, because
yes. Look, when we started, we had a staff complement of 3, if I might come there. And when I took over in 2019, the CEO just resigned that time. So now we have to go and look for a CEO. That's where he came in, acted for a while, and then took over as CEO. But the most challenging thing is having to walk into council, and we had the founding members of SAIGA. And I had my manifesto as any other president. I wanted to dismantle the SAIGA the way it is, to make it more relevant to public sector, be the leader in the public sector. Obviously, you have to deal with the identity of the organization. So the biggest challenge now is that you're facing an organization that is very dependent on Auditor General, actually dependent on Auditor General. Is the only stakeholder that they are dealing with. And the only revenue that comes from anywhere else comes from the Auditor General through membership of the members in the Auditor General.
Sure.
So you've got and also Auditor General has stopped recruiting trainees at that time because of our challenges that we had. now the question is that now what do you do with the organization? How do you grow it from that point of view? Firstly, obviously, I say you're dealing with the identity issue, and also we're dealing with the founding members that they had a particular vision, back then since they established the organization. Now to change the whole thing, changing the vision and the mission and the strategy of the organization, it became a kind of a big challenge. But they were amicable. I think we had robust discussion to a point that they were very much happy. One of our founding members being Wally, he then resigned and said, look, I'm old now. I think the institution is in good hands. We are heading in the right direction. And the biggest thing it was then to say, okay, can we forget about Auditor General for a while and focus on how then do we run a business like a normal business? We are offering accounting, we're offering auditing for the public sector. How do we find in ways of repositioning this organization to be that exactly, and not to be only dependent on one stakeholder? As much as Auditor General even told today, is still our significant stakeholder. But however, it was then to say, how then do we change the operating model of the organization, the strategy, and how then do we grow the organization? The question is that then we wanted to even to change the name, even the colors that you see today, to say, I think we need to be a new organization. But anyway, we fast forward. The question is that if we have no Auditor General in space, then who's going to train your people and make them RGAs? That's when then we started thinking that we need to have our own firms that we recruit to come and recruit our own people. Some of the things as well is that then when do we get these people? Because we depended on the Auditor General getting people from university and putting them into the training program. We had now to go to the universities and change that. To say now we are in the public sector, it was a bit hard because we are hardly known. So the issue of marketing also needed to come into fruition to say, how then do we come up with a marketing strategy that we are everywhere in the universities, we are in the face of the students, and that we are known out there, and also to the media. We had at some point, we had Mail and Guardian to come through. And also that's when we started the conference. We had our first conference during COVID. And it was a visual conference. And it became very successful. It attracted many players. Auditor General was the keynote speaker of our first conference, the current Auditor General. So we has moved so much that we had also the vision that we are Southern. So how then do we take this organization to SADC? So that's why we have moved to other countries in SADC as well. And also we had also the vision, I had a very wild vision, which everybody told me that I cannot have that vision because it's unrealistic. Yeah. When I said I want to take SAIGA globally, today SAIGA is global because of the CIPFA agreement that we have.
There are certain things that happened governance-wise to the structure, and I suppose that has got to do with the strategic direction of the organization, right? If you can tell me a little bit more about the strategic direction in relation to the new governance structure.
No, thank you. Yeah, so I think our strategic direction is clear. That if you look at an RGA, if you look at our program, I think our program has 3 components or areas. So there is the legislation, governance, and the ethics side of our program. And then secondly, there is the public finance or the accounting element. And then the other part, which is the audit element, which is mainly in external audit. So what was happening in the past was that the public, or let me just say the level of education in the market was not there about an RGA. So when I talk about RG, registered government auditor, So someone already will make an assumption that you're talking about someone who's an auditor alone, but that's not the case. So the program that we have has two elements whereby we're seeing many RGAs as CFOs or finance managers or even in internal audit and so on, than the RGAs also who are in external audit. So then strategically, in the repositioning agenda was to start educating the market and the public. So that's where now, when we started engaging our universities, it was not an easy task. It was very challenging because in many other doors where we knocked, the doors were not opened. But today, fortunately, we are happy to say we've got about 9 universities that are accredited by us, whereby their programs are accredited by SAIGA. They are a direct feeder to the RGA. Not necessarily that others are not, but when you accredit a university or maybe a training firm, there is a rigorous process that is undertaken there to check the actual curriculum, the exams that they set for the people and so on. So today, 5 years ago, we didn't have that. We had 0 universities, and 5 years ago we also did not have student chapters. Today, last week in particular, on Friday the 16th of August, which is exactly 5 years when he became president, we've launched the first SAIGA student chapter. Was never there. The first SAIGA student chapter was launched at the TUT. So that's the first of many. The others are still coming.
Sure.
Now yes. Oh, sorry.
All right. Well, I was just about to talk about the forthcoming event.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Because we will pick up the conversation.
Yes.
For the next episode.
Yes.
For now, just probably you may want to update us briefly on the upcoming 4th annual SAIGA conference that will be taking place in September. You wanted to say something?
Yes, I wanted to say something before we jump to upcoming events.
Yeah.
I want to answer your question as well.
Yes.
Directly. So what are the governance and structural things that we had to deal with? Firstly, you had a council that was constituted around 12 people. And it had no branches or regions per se. So we had to go and establish regions. So from province to province, like the politicians will say, from door to door. So we had to go and do that. So the first pilot regions we did was Gauteng and also Eastern Cape. Yeah. Now as we sit in, now we've got 9 on all provinces. So that was the other issue. The other issue was that you have an institution that has got more oversight than the employees. So that was an abnormality. That was never going to work anyway. So we had about 12 subcommittees of council, including council. So now it was, as we speak now, we only have 4 subcommittees and council being the 5th. So you can imagine from 12 to 4. So, and cut down and make sure that at least you have a situation where you synergize things and make sure that things works properly. So those are the structural issues. And also the other issues that we had a very old constitution, which was just, not done by lawyers per se. And we had to modify it to make it in line with Companies Act, came for the modern way of doing governance. So the serious issues of governance was there. Issues of exams, we had to almost go back and tear apart what we had, what we call core box. And now we have a new competency framework, which then modernized the whole way of exams and what we were teaching back then. So the whole exam program also had to change. One of the things as well, Tim, which is important, is that our main issue with the Auditor General back then was that the quality of the exam. We had to go back and redo what I just spoke about to make sure that it's in line with the market and also internationally as well. So that's the structural thing. So there's many other things.
Sure.
that we had to do. But yeah, those are the major points. Yeah.
Well, we'll talk about the vision and the evolution of the organization going forward. Of immediate interest that I think we should highlight is the upcoming 4th annual SAIGA conference taking place in September. Any particular highlights that you want to talk about? Well, I can mention the theme is navigating change and innovation for a sustainable South Africa. Are there confirmed speakers for this event?
Yes. The conference, I think it's ready. We're ready for the audience, and we've seen that more and more people are registering, but we want to see more as well. So this year's conference is different in the sense that we're not gonna have a gala dinner at the conference this time. We're gonna have a gala dinner and awards during a separate event, which we're gonna share later on as well. So the keynote speakers for the conference, we've got the likes of the outgoing Chief Justice, Justice Raymond Zondo will be coming during day one. We've got the UNISA Vice Chancellor, Professor Linkabula. Yes, got Puleng Linkabula. And then we also have the CEO of PAFA, Aldi Prinsloo. We also have CEO of ASB. We've got the Accountant General. We also have the moderator of the conference, or the MC of the conference will be we've got the JJ Tabane, professor. I believe it's a professor now. Yeah, and then we also during day two we also have the ABASA president, Miss Linda Makoma. She will be there. We also have former statistician general, and that the body Lohotla will be there as well. We also have various panels. We've got about 5 panels, and there is an interesting panel there that we're going to look at. We're going to look at the transformation of the accounting and auditing industry for the past 30 years. And Mr. President is the one who's going to moderate that panel. It's a very interesting panel because the sector, although we're celebrating 30 years, but I think there still need to be more work to be done to fully transform this sector.
Let's pick it up in the next episode. But thanks again. It sounds like the conference is going to be action-packed, a lot to chew on, and people should register on time. Make sure that you register and you participate. This is going to happen in September. I'm talking to the president of the Southern African Institute of Government Auditors, Mr. Phillip Rakgwale, as well as the CEO, Mr. Russel Morena. I will be talking to them about the vision and evolution of SAIGA in the next episode.